Look at the cat in the room with you. If there isn't one, picture the last one you saw. It's asleep, curled tight, one ear folded over, breathing so shallow you have to watch the ribs to be sure. Then, without lifting its head, without opening its eyes, the ear rotates. Just the ear. Toward a sound that, as far as you're concerned, did not happen. That animal runs a nervous system weighing about 25 grams. Yours weighs 1,400. And in that moment, it beat you. This should not have been close. Your cortex holds roughly 16 billion neurons. A cat's holds about 250 million. 64 to 1. A dog, for the record, lands around 530 million, which is why that argument at the dinner table never ends. 64 times fewer processors, same neurons, same neurotransmitters, same folded cortex, same lobes, in the same places as yours. So why does that animal receive whole categories of information your brain has no way of knowing exist? Start with sound. Your hearing gives out around 20 kilohertz, less if you're over 40. A cat hears to 64, 1.6 octaves above you, a full octave above a dog. That isn't a louder world, it's a different one. The ultrasonic squeak of a mouse inside a wall. A frequency band where prey animals have been calling to each other, in the open, for the length of human history, and we have never once overheard it. And each of those ears is aimed independently by more than 24 muscles before the head even moves. A cat can place the source of a sound to within about 8 centimeters from a meter away. You have a handful back there. Most of them stopped working a long time ago. If you've lived with a cat, you know this moment. The animal locks onto a blank wall, ears forward, pupils wide, completely still, staring at nothing. You checked. There was nothing there. You were wrong. There was something there. You just weren't equipped to receive it. So here's the question. This whole video is built around, what is a cat's nervous system doing that yours cannot? And why would evolution build two such different machines from the same parts? The popular version of the cat is a simple animal. Small brain, big instincts, nothing worth investigating. The record says otherwise. Because most of what medicine knows about your visual system, it learned from cats. Through the late 50s and 60s, David Hubel and Torsten Wiesel lowered electrodes into the visual cortex of cats and listened, one neuron at a time. They found cells that fired for a line at one specific angle and went silent for the same line, tilted a few degrees off. They mapped orientation columns, ocular dominance columns, the critical window in early life after which visual wiring can never be rebuilt. 1981, Nobel Prize. The diagram of human vision in every neuroscience textbook on Earth was drawn, first, inside a cat. That's how close the wiring is, which makes what comes next harder to explain. There's a second experiment, and it's stranger. In Lyon, in the 1960s, Michel Jouvet found that a small region of the pons works as a switch. During REM sleep, it paralyzes the body, so the sleeper stays still while the brain runs. He removed that switch in cats. The cats went to sleep. Then they stood up, eyes closed, still fully asleep. They crouched. They stalked. They struck at prey that was not there. Jouvet hadn't only shown that cats dream, he had shown what they dream about. Your switch sits in the same structure, doing the same job, tonight. Same architecture, same dreams. The difference was never the parts. It's the specification. Look at the face. About 24 movable whiskers, and they aren't hairs in any meaningful sense. Each sits in a capsule wrapped in blood-filled chambers that amplify the smallest deflection, hooked to its own muscle, fed by roughly 150 myelinated nerve fibers. One whisker, 150 dedicated high-speed lines. Your most sensitive instrument is on the end of your arm, and you have to decide to use it. Your cat's is on its face, permanently deployed, reading air pressure and gap width in total darkness. Then the eyes. A mirror behind the retina, the tapetum lucidum, bounces light back through the sensor a second time. That's why a cat needs a sixth of the light you do, and why its eyes flare in photographs. 200 degrees of visual field against your 180, and the pupil doesn't open so much as transform. Berkeley researchers measured a cat's pupil changing area by a factor of 135. Yours manages 15. There's even an organ in the roof of its mouth that you don't have at all. The vomeronasal organ, wired almost directly into the emotional brain. That strange open-mouthed grimace a cat makes at a scent isn't discussed. It's a second nose, opening. But the input was always the cheap part. Here's what almost everyone gets wrong. The signal doesn't travel faster in a cat. In the fastest myelinated fibers, cats and humans run at broadly the same speed. Physics hands out no favors. What changed is the distance. From your foot to your brain is over 1.5 meters of cable. From a cat's paw to its brain, maybe 40 centimeters. Same speed. A quarter of the commute. A cat isn't built faster. A cat is built shorter. Watch what that buys. Drop a cat and the writing reflex fires. The inner ear finds down, the body bends at the waist, and the front half rotates on a different axis from the back. Front swinging 90 degrees, rear counter rotating about 10. No wind, no push. Pure conservation of angular momentum from a system that appears at 3 weeks old and is fully tuned by 9. And I'm not going to sell you the version of this that gets repeated online. In 1987, 2 vets studied 132 cats that had fallen from high-rise windows in New York. Injuries rose with height, up to about 7 stories. Then they went down. One cat fell 40 stories and walked away. The explanation offered: past a certain point, the cat reaches terminal velocity, relaxes, spreads out, lands like a parachute. Beautiful story. It may also be a statistical illusion, because a cat that died on impact was never carried into a clinic and never entered the data. So where do you land? Clever physics or 30 years of survivorship bias? Put it in the comments. I read them. And if this is the kind of depth you come here for, a like genuinely helps this channel keep going. Which brings us to the part that unsettles people. In classic experiments, researchers placed cats, whose brains had been surgically disconnected from the spinal cord, onto a moving treadmill. The legs walked. Not twitched. Walked. And as the belt sped up, the gait changed. Walk to trot to gallop. Timing correct, brain out of the loop. Walking was never a decision. It's a program, and it lives below the neck. Neuroscientists call it a central pattern generator. You're running one right now. It's why you have never once had to think about your left foot. None of this was free. A cat's visual acuity runs between 20/100 and 20/200. What you can read at 30 meters, a cat has to close to 6 meters to resolve. Reds collapse into muddy gray, and it can't focus on anything nearer than 25 centimeters, which is why a cat loses a treat directly under its own nose, then finds it with its whiskers. Every one of those is the invoice for the night vision. You cannot optimize for 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon at the same time. One more line on that bill, and this one matters if you own one. A cat has the same pain receptors you do, and the same pathways carrying the signal. What it doesn't have is any reason to show you. A small predator that advertises weakness becomes something else's meal. Your cat isn't stoic. Your cat is quiet. Those aren't the same thing. Step back, and the comparison reorganizes itself. A cat's nervous system is built for the next 200 milliseconds. Sensors permanently live, which is also why it sleeps 16 hours a day, most of it light. Reflex arcs kept short. It doesn't need 16 billion neurons because it isn't modeling next winter. It's trying to be right, immediately, faster than the thing moving in the grass. Yours is built for the next 20 years. You gave up the ultrasound, the darkness, the whiskers. What you got back is a cortex that can run a situation which hasn't happened yet. Be wrong inside your own head at no cost, and try again. Then spend a decade building a tomorrow that has never existed anywhere. That machine is expensive and slow, and it's the reason you miss the sound in the wall. Neither one is the better nervous system. They're answers to 2 different questions. One more thing, and I want this one from you. Has your cat ever reacted to something you couldn't perceive? The stare down an empty hallway, waking 4 seconds before the doorbell, refusing to walk into a room. Tell me what it did, and whether you ever found out what it was. The sun has moved across the floor. The cat hasn't. Same room. Same shallow breathing. And then, again. The ear turns first, then the head, then the whole animal is upright and facing the door. 4 seconds later, you hear the car in the driveway. That wasn't a premonition. That was 64 kilohertz, 24 whiskers, 40 centimeters of wire, and 250 million neurons doing exactly what they were built to do, while you sat in the same air, receiving a smaller version of it. If you want more of this, the machinery underneath the animals we think we already know, subscribe. And the next time your cat wakes out of nowhere and stares at a wall, it isn't sensing a ghost, it's sensing the room. You're just the one in it who can't.